In this video, I'm going to provide you with an overview of type in Adobe Flash CS4. All right, so to begin, when we're working in Flash with our type, first of all, an overview, where do we get our type? Well, we come to the T on our Tools panel and we select our type. Now, what we see on our Properties panel when we select our type is that we have three choices. We can do static text, dynamic text, or input text. Real quickly to tell you the difference between the three, and we'll take a look at the three. Static text is embedded directly in a Flash movie. Now, you can use any font that you want to, but it is not editable. We cannot edit it. Okay? So what's the benefit of using static text? Well, we can send a font and design with a font even if the person who's viewing it doesn't have that font within their font library on their system. Now, but things have changed. We come to dynamic text. Dynamic text is our next one. And dynamic text, on the other hand, is not embedded in our Flash movie, and it can be controlled with ActionScript code. So we can do a lot of different features, do different mouse events upon clicks and such. Now, the viewer would need to have the font installed unless we embedded the characters. So we can choose to embed the characters. Then the last font that we have right here is the input text. And the input text we would use if the viewer is going to input text. So we can see and I think that makes sense, right? If we're creating some kind of application where the viewer is going to input some type of information, that is what we used. All right, so I'm going to begin just with plain old static text for this little exercise that we're looking at, and we're going to take a closer look at the type. Okay, so here goes. I have two different, this is the name of the font, plant letters. And if I click, I can see I have this box and I have this box. Now, what I can see as I take a closer look, my bottom box would be a fixed width, whereas my top box is a variable width. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if I add more letters, plant letters, plants, okay, I can see that my box is growing, okay? All right, so that is what we consider to be a variable width. It will change based on what I place in there. And I know that this is a variable width because I see the circle there. Now, whereas this is a fixed width, so it's going to just fit within this box. So I'm not going to return, and I hit plant, and I can see that my box changes to the side. If I wanted to change my fixed width to a variable width, all I do is double click up in there, and it changes it. If I want to change it back, all I do is take this and reshape my box, and it's back. Now, let's take a look at, how do we go about when we begin and we're trying to create these different types of things? Well, we come to T. I have my T tool, and I'm going to switch. I'm going to come to a different font. And if I just click, this is variable width. Okay, just when we click, that's what we're going to get. Okay, that's what we will get when we just click. Now, on the other hand, if we come and we take the type tool and we click and we drag and we create a box of sorts, this is fixed width. I'll keep typing. This is fixed width. All right, so we can see the difference. Now, if we want to change the size of our font, that's very easy to do. Some of these different features in here we'll take a little bit of a closer look at. If we want to change the width of this, all we have to do is come on in, we select our size, we can make this line smaller. Okay, now we have other options too. I'm still in static text. I can either make my text selectable or non-selectable. Okay, we have other options too. We can render text as HTML. Okay, we'll see other things too. Now we can also take a look at aligning things center, right aligning, justifying, okay, aligning left. There's a lot of different things. We can look at our spacing of our first, and this is usually in our first line. We can look at the space between our lines. Okay, we have a lot of different options down in here. All right, now as we move on in to some of our different things here, we can also look at the orientation. We can change the orientation of our type. Now we could also come in at this point and we could, let's just actually rotate. We could rotate it. There's a lot of things we can do. Let's go back to normal though. I could also come in here and create a link. So I could highlight this, and this is where I would put the link. Let's say I wanted to, create a link to http www.w3c.org. Right now, if I wanted to open in a new page, I would make my target blank. Well, if I wanted it to open in the window that I already was in, it would be self. We can say that parent and top aren't really used anymore. These two words were for they're outdated and were used when working in frames. Okay, so there's a difference. We just took a closer look at static text. Now, let's actually move on over and let's take a look at dynamic text. Okay, so I could take this and switch this, and now I am in dynamic text. As we look, we see a lot of the same features here. Now, we could also come on into character embedding, okay, and this is where we could choose and select and embed the font that we want to use. Okay, we can also work with similar kinds of things. Now we can work with, this is an interesting, working with a single line, a multi-line. Okay, and actually let me change the sizes. And then if we had a multi-line no wrap, what that does, what a multi-line no wrap does, is in order to have the wrap, okay, we would need to actually come on in and we would actually hit return. Okay, and so there we have it. Thanks for listening. I'll leave you. Oh, actually, I wanted to take a look at the difference between input field. So we come to input text. Let's say we select this, and then let's come down onto here, and let's go to input text. Now, the only difference between input text and dynamic text is we have the options area, and what this has to do are the maximum amount of characters that are going to be allowed for the user to input. And again, an input text would be used if there was going to be, if the user on the other end was going to be inputting some text. I'll leave you with that. Thanks for listening. That's a quick overview of type. Actually, but before I end with the type, we can also see that when we come on over here, we can work with other features of this. We can choose our different font, the style. We have auto kern, and I'll end there. Thanks so much.